Welcome back to From the Chairman's Desk. Well, here we go. With us today, I'm glad to have one of the most knowledgeable persons about our tribal records. Now, I'm going to tell you something. She's here when the records first was started back in the early 80s. So she's most experienced Lumbee we've got to be in charge of the roles. So that's a plus. We got the experience. She's already seen some better ways to implement the whole process, and we're glad to have with us today Miss Ruth Lockley. Ruth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Now, as you know, there's a lot of interest in being a member of the Lumbee tribe. And we just went through a process here that we had to go through because of law, not because of something we just made up. This was an ordinance that was put in place by Lumbee Tribal Council back in 2001, 2002, some years back then. But now, Ruth, today we want to clarify exactly what has happened. And I reckon the main question is, what's next? And I'll kind of turn it over to you and let you run with it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, as you're exactly right. These roles first started about 1980, which has been over 30 years ago. And there's been no requirement really placed on Lumbee people to come in and update your membership in 30 years. So lots of things can happen in 30 years. You move, you get married, your name changes, you have children, you even have grandchildren. So the Tribal Council felt like it was time that people come in and provide current information, and that's the process we just went through. People were given 7 years to get this information in, and thousands of people complied. So we have basically two groups right now. We got those who were able to get in and get their picture ID card, which is the Lumbee card with your photograph on it. And then there were people who just could not wait, and they had doctor's appointments or they had to get back to work or whatever. But they did get here, and they left their paperwork, and they're going to come back later and get their picture ID card. And those people, we want to say this to you. Come back. We're open at 8:30 to 4, Monday through Fridays, with exception of the last full week in each month. We do ask, however, that if you can, to wait until maybe the first of next year to come back and get your picture ID card. You do have 7 years. You can come back anytime in 7 years. And also, you don't even have to get the picture ID card. We can give you a certificate of enrollment, which is free. Most people want the picture ID card. That's $5. But if you're 62 or older, we can give you the card free. But we know a lot of people who came and left papers, met the deadline requirement. Now they're anxious to get those cards in their hands. And if you would bear with us, we have so much paperwork. We've got to get organized and into our database. If you would bear with us and maybe look at coming in next year or later on December of this year.
Now, I want you to understand another problem Ruth and her staff has. We've got a tribal election coming up in November, and there's a lot of work that tribal enrollment has to do to produce records for the Board of Elections, and that's going to hold you back, and that's one of the problems we've got.
That's exactly right, and that's why we're asking people to be patient with us and maybe look at coming back in the next year to get those picture ID cards. Your name will be on the election roll, so when you go to vote this November, we'll have your name on that roll, so you won't have any problems, even though you might not have gotten the card.
Now, Ruth, let me ask you this. Now, if I went through the whole process, I turned my paperwork in, and I've got my card, I'm good to go.
You're good to go.
Good to go. But now, if I didn't have time, I just turned my paperwork in, but I didn't have time to get the picture.
Right.
You've just said it's not a requirement that I have an ID, right?
That's exactly right. You're not required to even get the picture ID card. Most people want it. but you're not required. We can give you a certificate of enrollment, which is absolutely free. But most people do want the picture ID card. And as I said, if you met that June 23 deadline and you got your paperwork in here on June 23, but you didn't stay to get your picture ID made, come back the first of next year or even next summer, and we'll take care of you, and you won't have those long lines that you've seen here last week.
Well, we will do this. I tell you what, Ruth. Me and Ruth will agree on this. You elders, if that card's that important to you, you call Ruth. We'll make arrangements. For my elders now, we'll make some of our elders is very important, and we understand that. But now there's another group that didn't meet nothing.
Yes.
Let's talk about them. I mean, it's serious, but sometimes they just didn't have time or lack of communication. But what happens that if I didn't even get here to fill paperwork, I didn't get anything done?
And there are quite a few people in that category. And our message to folks who were unable to meet the June 23 deadline is this. First of all, your name's still on the roll. We're not removed you off the roll.
Say that again.
Your name's still on the roll. You're not removed off the roll because you were unable to get here by June 23, which was yesterday for us. What happens is you would go into a category called inactive members, which simply means you won't be voting in tribal elections or eligible for certain tribal services until you are able to come here, maybe on your next trip to Lumbee land, or maybe when you got a day off work, you can come by. And we urge you, if you didn't meet that June 23 deadline, please do not let that stop you from coming in to update your record.
Good. So it's not over with. You're not being kicked out of the tribe or anything.
No.
Just put on what they call an inactive role. But we still need for you to get in here and complete your enrollment process.
Absolutely.
Okay? Now, again, I want to say, we appreciate what you've done, the patience you've had with the tribe, your government, and we want you to understand this is something that we had to do because of what the Constitution and the ordinances told us. We had to follow the law on this thing, and just because you didn't meet the deadline of June 23rd, basically all's going to happen, you'll be put on inactive roll. You won't be eligible for services, and you cannot vote. But now, remind you of this. We've got an election coming up every November. So I need you, if you didn't get in here, if it's possible, get in here before November. So you might not be able to vote this November, but next November you'll be able to vote. Right, Ruth?
That's right. Exactly. And when you do come, bring your birth certificates.
Say that one more time.
Please bring your birth certificates when you do come. Chances are we might probably already have it. But just to be on the safe side, we don't want to have to turn people away because we don't have a birth certificate. So bring your birth certificate when you come, and also be prepared to show ID.
ID. Well, that's about the end of the program. We're going to bring Miss Ruth back in a couple of weeks, and we'll go through it some more. But I just want to say this. Thank you for your patience with us. And another thing I want to say is this. When you see the staff, I want you to hug their necks, because they went above beyond board to get this job done. And Ruth, so proud of you and tribal enrollment and all the staff pitching in. Everybody just come to get. This is the best I've ever seen everybody work together.
Yeah, we have very good cooperation.
We'll see you next time from the Chairman's Desk.
Thank you.